It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and over 35 podcast platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful lady who is an author of the book Stacked with Flavor. And yes, this book is stacked with flavor. I've got the book right here, just a lot of and I'm ready to get stacked with this one. She also wrote The Wellness Garden, 101 Organic Gardening Hacks. Also, Go Green, Gardening Needs, and everything else. She's written a number of books, and she's also an advocate on a number of like with health issues, like with chronic inflammation, how to stop that and elevate your garden beds and everything else. So live, ladies and gentlemen, from the great, beautiful Midwest, bordering between Illinois and Indiana, and just growing her own good stuff, ladies and gentlemen, author Shawna Coronado. Shawna, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
I have some news for you, though. Okay. I have moved away from Illinois. I am living in Arizona. It is
really?
No kidding. It is currently 105 degrees outside right now.
Oh my goodness.
105, baby. And that's why I'm right here in the air conditioning, because it's really hot out there. I have to tell you, though, I really love the Southwest because I'm totally reinventing my growing experiences, my health experiences. I walk every day. It's absolutely amazing. So I've loved it.
And also, not only that, you're an author, photographer, media host, focusing on the anti-inflammatory lifestyle, organic gardening, whole food cooking, and of course, you also have a story to tell as well, too. And before we get into all that and talking about the book Stacked with Flavor, and I cannot help enjoying this burger right now when I get done here and all these books and what I'm going through these ideas and trying to figure out what to make for dinner tonight. Tell us how I got started.
Okay, so for many, many years, well, I grew up as a garden lady. My grandparents were gardeners. I was a gardener. This was my thing. And so for the last 13 years, I had been gardening. And in Illinois, I have a huge front lawn vegetable garden, and it was amazing. Then in 2015, I was diagnosed with severe degenerative osteoarthritis of the spine. And when I went in, the doctor told me there was a cure. I'm like, there's a cure? You're kidding me. I didn't know there was a cure for spinal osteo. And he's like, well, yeah, it's called pain therapy. And pain therapy is actually opioids. That's not a cure. Yeah. That's horrible. That's not a cure. And I'm like, okay, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, this is your only choice. It's pain therapy or nothing. And I was devastated. At the time, when I walked, I was hunched over, like I can't get low enough below the camera, but I was hunched over. I was in such intense pain. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stand. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't do anything without crying. I mean, I was just in intense pain. And it started with the upper neck and back and then went all the way down. And since 2015, we have done more x-rays and found out that I do have spinal osteo in my entire spine. There's just not one little bit that has it. It's everywhere. So the one bit of advice that he gave me was, you need to walk every day for 1 hour. And when he said that, it was really a revelation because every human being should walk every day for 1 hour. I mean, you really should. No matter where you live or what you're doing, walking can actually be a cure. It can make you feel a lot better. It can increase your mood. It can, physically shake things back into place. And so I started walking 1 hour every day. One day I'm at the track and I'm sobbing while I'm walking. That's how bad it hurt, how much pain I was in. All these people are walking past me. Oh, sweetie, you're gonna be okay. They're like, I'm not, it's the end of the world. And it was very dramatic. And I remembered at that exact moment that I had interviewed and spoken with a nutritionist. She was a lovely lady. I'd met her several years before because my daughter had a health condition, and we went in to meet with this nutritionist. So I contacted her from the track while I was sobbing and, said, help me. My God, what am I going to do? She's like, well, first of all, I'm canceling all my appointments. You are coming in right now, and I'm going to change your life. Not just for now, but for the rest of your life. Things are going to be better. And I literally said, you're full of crap. This is never going to work. This is not going to be successful, but I'm desperate. And so I came in. She did exactly as she told me. She put me on a diet that was no grain, no dairy, no sugar for 30 days. 30 days.
No dairy, no grain, no sugar. Wow.
That's it. Everybody asks, oh, what do you eat then? I'm like, everything, vegetables, meats, fish, eggs, all that, but no dairy, no grain, no sugar. And that became my mantra. Like, there was no dietary list. It was not a fancy, it's kind of similar to the paleo, but I'm allergic to different things. So, I would eliminate certain things that triggered me. Beans, for example, I don't have beans because they trigger me. So it's similar to so many things, but in the end, it was really a variation of the Mediterranean diet. And the Mediterranean diet has been taught for a century, that it is a healthful, heart healthful sort of diet to stick with. So no dairy, no grain, no sugar, 30 days. Within 4 days, my life was completely different. Day one, I sent my poor nutritionist a nasty note and said, this is never going to work. Day two, I send her a nasty note and I say, no change, going to be the same. She's like, let's wait until day 4 and see what happens. And day 3, same thing. Day 4, I woke up. I'm like, holy crap. I woke up. I actually slept for the first time in like 30 days. It was amazing. Wow. And so I called her and I said, I'm so sorry. You were absolutely right this whole time. She's like, the 4 days are very, very important. It takes 4 days for the average human being to work out foods and allergens. So let's say that you are allergic to mushrooms and you ate them on Sunday. You might have icky feelings for 4 days, or you might not even have a reaction until day 3. I had never heard of this. I didn't know that this was how it worked. I started doing scientific research because being the writer that I am, all my books are based on scientific evidentiary proof. I wanted to find out, is this real? How's this work? And I started doing the science behind it to find out, is what I'm doing a permanent change? Is it a partial change? How is it going to work? While I'm doing that, 30 days passes. And I stay on that diet and exercise plan. Remember, I'm walking 1 hour every day, and then I'm eating really nutritionally dense food and no dairy, no grain. At the end of the 30 days, I felt really sick. Like something was wrong, like really wrong. I went into my family doctor right away because I was having heart palpitations. I wasn't feeling right. And so they started doing research, trying to fit blood tests, all that, everything. And what they found out was, for the first time in 15 years, my blood pressure was normal.
Wow.
Okay, so from walking 1 hour every day, and then, not having any of the inflammatory foods that usually I had been consuming, what happened was all the inflammation in my body started to reduce. When you reduce inflammation in your body, you actually get rid of a lot of the symptoms that come along with heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, allergies, and osteoarthritis. I mean, there's a whole list of diseases that are triggered by and caused by inflammation. So the experience of reducing inflammation by first eating the right foods that won't trigger the inflammation, and then second, by walking and getting all of my system shaken out, at the end of that 30 days, I felt better than I had felt in years. So I called her up again and I said, and my nutritionist, by the way, is Deepa Deshmukh, and she's based in Illinois, and she and I are now very good friends. Because remember, when I first, I'm like, you're full of crap. I don't believe you. And I said that to her face, and she's this sweet little woman. And here I am like, and you don't know what you're talking about. Well, and the truth was, she knew exactly what she was talking about. The thing is that so many people go to nutritionists or doctors and they don't stick with the plan. This is a lifestyle change. And when I figured that out, 30 days to a good habit, and I changed my lifestyle, that's when things really started happening. About 6 months in, I noticed that food tasted better. And the best comparison is my husband is a really big, kind of overweight guy who does not eat well. All right. And he's like, I'm not going on that diet. You go on that diet. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'd be sitting at the kitchen table with him and I would be doing this, making nom nom. So it's, oh my God. Oh, arugula. Who knew that arugula tasted so good, you know? And he's like, it's just food. No, it's not just food. In reducing your inflammation, in eating the right foods, even your taste buds taste things differently and better. So once you get all that crap out of your system, you know, we're talking all of the, forgive me, I had to look out the window for a second. My ding dong just ding dong. When you get all of the packaged goods and artificial chemicals and all of that sort of thing out of your system, then what you gain is taste and health. So at the end of the first month, I was maybe 40% less pain than I had when I was diagnosed. And then at the end of 6 months, I was at 75 to 80% less pain than when I was diagnosed. So if you think of the comparison there, 80% good, 20% bad. Let's reverse that. It used to be 80% bad and 20% good. So it's quite important to stick with it over the long run, to not cheat in that 30 days, and to really move through the process of learning how to eat well. Now I'm still on the diet because it's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. I will never go off of it because I never want to live through that horribleness that I used to live through. And people are like, well, don't you just want to cheat with some cheesecake? And I'm like, I'll wake up the next day in pain. It's not worth that. Now, let me tell you real quick how you reintroduce the foods. So you're doing this elimination diet where you're taking everything out, everything and making it naked. You know, you have your meat, your fish, your vegetables, no grain, no dairy, no anything else. So how I discovered I can still have butter is I tried introducing butter on some vegetables. I waited 4 days before I tried anything new. Think of yourself like a baby. You know how you feed a baby? You introduce foods gradually. So every 4 days, remember, your body's working through all of that allergen and it'll work it out. So I discovered butter I can still have, or ghee. You know, ghee is, you know, clarified butter.
I've heard ghee. Yeah, ghee is supposed to be really good for you. That is really good.
It's delicious, actually. And it tastes like super butter. It's like really
flavorful. Butter, it's even better. I'm putting it on the shopping list.
Exactly. I stopped eating as much red meat, although I could have red meat occasionally. But mostly because I would notice that once I tried certain foods, for me personally, not for other people, but for me, it would trigger me. And I have 2 ways that I get triggered. Asthma, because I am asthmatic. Normally, I have no reactions whatsoever as long as I'm on this diet. But if I cheat and I have something I shouldn't have, then the next day I might be asthmatic a bit and I might be in pain. Both of those things happen. And the biggest, most significant difference is that from the time I was a little child, I suffered from heavy allergies. Back when I was a kid, they didn't even know what that was. I mean, you know, they didn't know that I was having severe allergy problems. But as I grew into an adult, I learned, you know, that I have allergies. Well, I had 3 to 4 sinus infections every year,
Wow.
Depending on the season. I haven't had a sinus infection since 2015.
Wow. Amazing.
It is amazing. It's amazing. But when you tell people, they're like, yeah, you're one of those hippie types, You're thinking, you're just a weirdo, and this is not for me. And I'm like, okay, but I get it. They're like, I'm not giving up dairy. And I'm like, I understand that you can't give up dairy because, going to jail is hard and having an arm cut off is hard. But giving up dairy, it's really hard. So I encourage people to try to do a different plan. And some people are like, well, I'll go partially on that. Partially on your diet that you're talking about. I'll tell you what happened with that. I love popcorn. Popcorn is so good.
One of my favorites. Yeah. Makes you think of popcorn, Indiana.
Yeah. Well, the Eikenberries. Yeah. All the popcorn, everything popcorn. I loved it. I grew up in Indiana. It was my home state. So hello, here's the thing. Every night I started having popcorn and I started getting pain. Aches, and I was having all kinds of trouble. My neck was really bothering me, and I called up the nutritionist. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And so she went through every single thing that I ate, like everything, the whole shebang. And what we discovered is popcorn. She's like,
no, of all the favorite foods. Oh my goodness.
She was like, I told you no grains. Do you know what no grain means? And I'm like, oh, popcorn is a grain. Yeah, well, we think of corn as a vegetable in the United States, and it's not. And so I think that relearning from an educational perspective, what is good for you and what isn't. The next level of this became, how do I incorporate the career that I really built in gardening and turn it into the next level for me personally, that I can teach other people who are suffering like I am or was, how I can improve their lifestyle for them. My dad died when he was 46 years old.
Wow.
And he died young. He had cancer. It was this really tragic thing. I was 12 years old at the time, into my life. It was just very devastating. And I thought for sure that when I was 46 that I was going to croak. Because my dad died then, so I was going to die at that same age of whatever. And of course, I didn't die at age 46. And in fact, I feel like every year is a bonus year on top of that. And with that in mind, I would like to have a career where I help people. So what went from a gardening sort of only career suddenly expanded into food, expanded into helping people live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle and walking every day and incorporating this food plan that I have and really changing their lives for the positive. So I can wake up every morning knowing I might not be rich, but I really am happy that I'm helping people. And it's a career that every year I'm doing a little better at, and it's good. So you held up the book Stacked with Flavor. If you open it up and on the inside, here you can see the foods to pause and the foods to play for the 30 days.
And what page is this here?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Play. Okay.
Okay. 14 and 15. So if you wanted to have a cookbook, it's a cookbook, but it's also specifically a guide explaining what foods are inflammatory and what foods are not, and what foods you should pause for the 30 days and then gradually reintroduce and test. I think it's significant too that in Canada, the Canadian food plate has been changed.
Really?
Yes, it used to be that the Canadian food plate contained dairy. And by the way, go look it up anywhere online. You can research what's the Canadian food plate look like. And the Canadian food plate has no dairy in it.
Interesting.
Shocking. And people are like, why doesn't the American food plate do that? Well, because it's political.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you think about it, dairy is like the number one biggest thing in terms of agriculture. And of course, growing up Illinois, Indiana, for some of us in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Especially cheese. And if you don't eat cheese, they look at you like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to hurt feelings or anything. But the reality is that everyone has a unique dietary need. So when you go through those foods that you're going to eliminate and then gradually reintroduce, I'm allergic to mushrooms. So I'll never have mushrooms in my diet, so I'll never reintroduce that. But you might be able to reintroduce mushrooms without any problem. When you go out and see a diet titled the keto or the paleo or the whatever diet or the grapefruit juice diet or the whatever.
Atkins a while back, I remember that. The Atkins was a big thing.
And extreme, and also not customized for an individual. So this enables you to do a bit of customization. And again, it is close to some of those diets, but it's not it exactly because it depends on your individual needs. So anyway, I incorporated then this dietary experience, walking every day, and I started creating a new lifestyle with gardening as well. It became very therapeutic for me in a different way than it was before. I started growing up. So I wrote a book called Grow a Living Wall. I have books and speeches I do all over the nation and everything that talks about elevated gardening, where you grow, I want to say, waist height. And lots of people told me how ugly that was and how that would never be a trend. Well, here we are in 2020. It is so beautiful. If you look, I have another book, the one that you mentioned called The Wellness Garden. And in that one, I teach people how to grow elevated beds and that sort of thing. And it can be incredibly beautiful. And better yet, it can get you out of the house if you are trapped inside for whatever reason, and it can make you grow. So I think it's a beautiful thing. The next thing I'm going to do this year is I want to teach people how to grow inside their homes. Because of the pandemic and all the drama that we're having, imagine if you were a sweet little old lady who lived in New York City and you didn't have a yard, but you'd like to have fresh lettuce.
I cannot imagine living in New York City at this time. God forbid, especially in a one-bedroom apartment, $2,000 it's going for right now. No wonder people are leaving in droves.
Well, and it's terrifying for the people that are, all of the deaths that are happening in New York City and, well, everywhere, actually. And it's horribly dramatic. So if you would like to continue to self-isolate, they're talking now about how they are opening up parts of the country, of course, but cautiously. And some people think that it's a big mistake. So having said that, growing inside might also help you. So if you don't have a lawn or, a huge garden or something like that, you could certainly grow lettuces and greenery inside your home in order to provide a little fresh veg for your family if you can't get out as often. So all of this rolled together is a healthier lifestyle. It's therapeutic. It's about eating the food that you're growing and growing organically.
It sounds like it, too. We'll talk more about the indoor growing as well, too. And before we take a break here, I do want to say that I'm not a mushroom person either. And if I have mushroom right now, I think this would be just completely explicit. I think everybody would just run. Some people call 911. I am that. Yeah. I'm with you there. No mushrooms. So that'll be excluded from our gardening, and we'll talk more about the indoor gardening. I'd love to do that. But first, you are listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page, Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen to Mike Wagner Show on over 35 podcast platforms, including iHeartRadio, Facebook, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Spotify, also on Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're with author, photographer, and media host focused on anti-inflammatory lifestyle and also indoor gardener Shawna Coronado here on the Mike Wagner Show. And we talked about the various foods that trigger asthma, allergies, inflammation, and also how to build an indoor garden, especially during this pandemic. God knows how long that's going to go. And, continue more about the indoor gardening. And first, how do you start an indoor garden?
Okay, the best thing to grow inside, because no matter whether you set it by a window or whether you set it under lights, The reality is that you are not going to grow a giant tomato inside your living room. All right. And have it be successful.
That's a given, unless you're going for Guinness Book of World Records.
Right. And so there is a rule. It's a magical rule. It's called no roots and no fruits. Roots would be like a potato, and a fruit would be a tomato. Perfect example. So roots and fruits need to be grown in full sun or as close to it as possible. But if you want to grow in shade or indoors, no roots and no fruits. So that means that really you have the selection of lettuces and greens like Swiss chard and spinach and, any lettuce at all, and herbs and things that are leafy greens that do quite well inside. So the first step to growing leafy greens inside is you can get a seed starting kit or a soil. You can lay soil out in a flat and sprinkle the seeds over and just get started growing. But there's a secret. If you have lettuces and it's growing up, let's see that this is a lettuce, and if this is the entire lettuce, you cut the top off. So then you have that. And this lettuce will regrow back up, and then you come and you chop it again, and it regrows back up, and you come and chop it again, and again and again. So you can regrow lettuces and greens of many kinds by cutting, and then it'll come again. Now, this doesn't apply to like broccoli. Broccoli becomes this giant head. You can cut the broccoli off, and a little bit of sprouts will come out, and you can keep cutting. You can't grow that inside your home. It really has to be a leafy green sort of thing. And the good news is that leafy greens are some of the most nutritional, I want to say nutritionally dense things that you can grow anyway, because a microgreen has between 6 and 40 times the nutritional value of a full-grown vegetable.
Wow.
So if you grow microgreens and then these small leafy greens that you're cutting and coming again, they're more nutritionally dense. So they're really wonderful in this dark time when we're worried about nutrition, we're worried about what groceries we can get, food security. They're saying right now we're okay, but maybe in 6 months we're not going to be okay. Being able to start growing something at this point, I think, is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm. And that's true, too. You talked about having a food shortage. And I was reading where it's like a lot of these storage houses are getting rid of meat. They're getting rid of chicken and also the pork as well, too. They're closing. So now I guess the big question is, it's like, what are some of the alternatives to having like meat, chicken, and pork besides buying a hoard full, not like toilet paper and storing them in freezers? It's like, what's a good alternative to meat, chicken, and pork once it pretty much runs out or they stop producing it because of the COVID?
Yes. Well, there are a couple of good answers to that. My first response would be that you can very strongly have nutritional content coming from beans and rice, and those are vegetative items that you could substitute because they do have protein. If you're carb sensitive, because I am sensitive to sugar myself, so I don't do heavy carbs. Beans have a lot of carbs. So when you say that, then you have to look at other things that might have protein. And many vegetables have iron and strong vitamin content. Some of them have protein content and calcium. So you don't have to drink dairy all day long to get your calcium like our grandmothers always pushed. You can get your calcium from vegetables. But then protein is always the, what we have to look for. Now, what we still have plenty of our eggs. And I do love eggs. I eat eggs every day. And many people are sensitive to that. I mean, you can look into becoming a vegan. But when you become a vegan, beans and lentils are absolutely critical to maintaining your protein that you need. And I am sensitive to both beans and lentils. I know I'm sensitive to everything. It's ridiculous. But I'll tell you what I've started reintroducing gradually, which is the lentil. Went to the nutritionist. We had a whole discussion about what type of lentil is best. And they have what is labeled as a pink lentil or a red lentil that you'll see. And these are the kind that the green ones have a a hard husk on the outside. The pink ones don't. So I take pink lentils and I soak them, drain them, soak them again, and drain them, and then I cook them. And I have a better reaction. I've been able to eat lentils now for the first time in a few years. So
Wow.
my point being that protein is, the substitute, and you don't have to eat meat, every day, 3 meals a day in order to make that happen. In fact, one of the crazy things that I am like, it blows my mind about American cuisine is that Americans think that the only thing they can have for breakfast is a donut or a Pop-Tart or some form of cereal that's not a whole grain. If, I don't do grains or dairy, but if you're going to do grains, you should do whole grains. And I was always taught that whole wheat bread was whole grain. It's not. It has to be labeled in the United States, quote, whole grain on the label in order for it to be, if you have confusion about what a whole grain is, you can get one that's labeled. So whole grains also have very important ingredients in them. So if you, are going to make it, like right now they're having a flour shortage in some parts of the country because everyone's out trying to make sourdough bread. Like, how do I make bread? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Sourdough bread, one of my favorites, but if it falls short, I don't know what to do.
No, exactly. So focusing from a protein perspective, whole grains and lentils and beans and things like that would make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And I tell you though, eating the lentils and beans, remember I'm sensitive, would still be better for me and make me feel better than going back to eating all the packaged foods that I had before. Eating a lot of donuts. I did. And muffins. I would make breakfast muffins and call them healthy. And you know what I have for breakfast now? I have chia seed pudding. And people are like, what the heck is that? And I mix chia seeds and almond milk together, mix them up, and it turns into this little pudding. And I have it in the morning, like a cup of it with berries in the morning. And it tastes delicious and keeps me regular. So, come on. Why not? And then I sometimes have for breakfast, I call it a breakfast salad. And it is a little bit of salad and like 2 hard-boiled eggs cut in half with olive oil and dill and salt and pepper added. And it's delicious.
Oh,
but I want people to get out of the donut habit. You don't have to have a pancake in the morning. You can have something that's not full of carbs and sugar and junk and still be a happy person.
I'm guilty of that. I eat donuts long time ago. I'm guilty of it. I bet you're raising her hand about that too. So
it's hard to resist.
Right. Exactly. Oh, okay. We got you back there for a minute. And you were talking about iron a bit earlier as well, too, having all the nutrients and the heavy nutrients. And what are some of the foods out there that contain all that rich iron besides the liver and the typical, foods that have a lot of iron? So what are some of the alternatives? So when it comes to iron?
Without a doubt, spinach. Spinach is fantastic, and kale, actually. And what I have in this book, The Wellness Garden, I also have another diagram and stacked with flavor, but I actually have a comparison chart. Let's say you wanted to grow in your garden something that had more iron in it because maybe you're iron deficient, or more vitamin A in it because you're vitamin A deficient. Well, there are plants that you could get that you could grow. And this list gives you an idea of where to get started with that. One of the things my problem is sugars. Carbs and sugar trigger me. I'll have incredible pain if I eat too much sugary things the day before. And so sugar used to be donuts for me. Well, now, even if I drink, like if you drink an 8-ounce glass of orange juice, throws me over the edge. I'm sick the next day. And it's because it has more than 30 grams of sugar in one little 8-ounce cup. This is a concern for the U.S. because we think that when we're drinking these fancy pants orange juices that say it's all natural and say it's good for you, and they have all these television commercials with happy little children drinking their OJ, that's something that's good for you. But when you start to consider how much sugar is in juices, giving your kid apple juice or OJ that it has a lot of chemical additives and is filled with sugar might not be such a great choice. And so reducing the juice content makes a huge difference. And along those lines, I used to love cocktails that had a lot of juice in it. So like a margarita. And I would drink, a few books ago, I was so excited. I finished this book. I'm like, let's go out, let's celebrate, let's go to Mexican. And I had a margarita, but we're talking a margarita, you know, like a bucket of margarita. I was in bed for 72 hours with osteoarthritis pain. I mean, so bad I couldn't get out. It was all the sugar. It kicked my butt. It was really bad for me. So understanding what triggers you and eating less of it. So now if I want to have a cocktail, I don't do a lot of juices and things like that added to it. I usually have, for some reason, whiskey triggers me, and dark, like Diet Coke, that's the dark soda, or Diet Pepsi or whatever, that triggers me. It's something about the dye. I don't know what it is, but it triggers me. So what I do is I'll have a gin and soda or a vodka and soda. I keep it clear. And keeping it clear, it doesn't trigger me. And it also has a lower sugar content than a fruity fruit juice sort of drink. So people always scream out from the audience when I'm speaking, yeah, we know you're cheating. What are you cheating on? Okay. I like a nice gin once in a while. I can't fool you about that. But I really do believe that reducing the amount of sugar that you have also reduces a lot of other problems in your life. I was diagnosed as menopausal. And then when I went on this diet and I got rid of all the sugar, all of the symptoms that were related to menopause went away.
Wow.
So the only time I have hot flashes is when I have more than a couple cocktails. It's sugar.
My goodness. And with all the margaritas, blame it on Jimmy Buffett.
I'm telling you. So eating healthy, keeping the sugar down, keeping the carbs down, and focusing more on really a whole food diet filled with vegetables that are nutritiously dense or densely nutritious, and also eating, if you're eating meat, fish, eggs, things that are lower in fat content. I only have pork and red meat once in a while. It's made a tremendous difference. And all of the recipes that are in Stacked with Flavor, the book, all of the recipes are anti-inflammatory. There's no grain, there's no dairy, there's all delicious in here.
It sounds delicious as well, too. We'll go over a couple of recipes in just a minute. I'm hungry already. But first, to listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen to the Mike Wagner Show over 35 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show at any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author, photographer, and media host Shawna Coronado here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about some books, including the one about the wellness garden, 101 organic gardening hacks. We'll talk about it next time. We definitely love to have you back. And, of course, we're talking about the book Stacked with Flavor, and this certainly is Stacked with Flavor. And then happen to pick one right now, which is Nutty Pizza Breakfast Pie. And tell us all about that.
The Nutty Pizza Breakfast Pie really has just a tons of nuts and coconut and deliciousness in it. But I want to jump off that one for a minute, if you'll let me.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to give my secret out. There are 3 ways to increase flavor that people are unaware of. So when they go on, let's say, a diabetic diet, okay, I tell you, these guys come up to me at events and they say, I got the diabetes. I got it. What do I do? The doctor gave me this diet. It tastes like crap. It's because all the things that they consumed before. So we're talking about hamburger. You go to a fast food restaurant, that meat has artificial flavor in it. The bread has artificial flavor and coloring in it. Even the cheese is not really cheese. all of it has this artificial flavor that boosts the flavor. So when you're eating a hamburger at one of these places, you're like, my goodness, it tastes so good, right? Okay, so you go off the diet and the doctor says you must eat just plain food. And, especially someone who's used to eating junk food for so long, they're like, but it tastes so bland, Okay, so I have a solution for that. And that solution is easy. The number one thing you can do to increase flavor in your foods, especially vegetables, is to roast them. When you roast a vegetable, oh God. And I mean, roasted cauliflower, roasted cabbage from my childhood. Irish German, and onions and cabbage roasted. Just it's so much better. And it's better because than say cooked in the microwave. And it's better because when you roast it, all those sugars melt out. And then it really enhances the taste that's in your mouth when you're consuming it. Now, the second way that you can increase flavor is to add seasoning mixes. And if you notice in the book, I do a lot of homemade seasoning mixes. And I do that because when I first started checking out seasoning mixes and adding them into the cooking, what I noticed is when I would go to a big box store and I'd line up all the seasoning mixes on the shelf, and I'm like, whoa, I like this one called Slap Yo Mama. It's so good. It's spicy and it's delicious. Slap Yo Mama, it's delicious. But when you flip around the back and you read the ingredients, it's filled with a bunch of crud, chemicals, junk, artificial flavorings. I'm like, okay, that's not good. I called my nutritionist and said, I don't even want to, it's not only are they not organic, but they're filled with so much crud. She's like, I know, right? You should be making your own seasoning mixes. I had never done that before. Didn't know the first place to start. I learned. And I have all the recipes for my favorite seasoning mixes in the book. And let me tell you, they're good. My favorite one is ranch seasoning mix, the ranch dressing seasoning mix. Now, when I was a kid, we used to have this little package. And by the way, if you read the back of that package, I'm not going to list a brand name here, but if you read the back of the package, you'll see that it's filled with all kinds of crud. Mm-hmm. So I used to love that package. So I started making my own. I sprinkle it over vegetables before I roast them. I mix it in with olive oil and make like this homemade dressing that's intensely tasty. It tastes so much more flavorful than the mix that's at the store prepackaged. It's making it fresh is so good. So the third way, first we have roasting vegetables. Then we have seasoning the vegetables. And how I do that, I add a tablespoon or two of the seasoning mix in olive oil, and then I roast it. So good. Then the third way is to sear. I don't know how we got away from searing so much. I mean, culinary chefs do the sear. It's a common thing that you do at a restaurant or but at home, I mean, people are frying or microwaving, but they're not understanding the importance of the sear. The sear is when you put it on an iron skillet, especially. I love to cook with iron skillets. I'll slap a piece of meat or chicken onto a hot, lightly oiled iron griddle. When you do that, it immediately attaches, like the skin of the chicken will attach to the iron surface. Huh. And it gets really hot on the outside, but the inside of the chicken is raw. It will, when it's done cooking, it will release. And it used to be like I was a kid, I would be like shoveling, trying to get it to release. You don't have to do that. If you let it sear for a while, it will release. You flip it. And then I take the iron skillet, the whole thing, and I pop it in the oven and I finish it roasting it. It is to die for, the most delicious chicken. And you can do this with fish. You can do this with red meat. You can do it with anything. But searing intensely enhances the flavor because it holds all the juices inside and doesn't let them leak out. So good. So those three things, like if I could give you recipes, those would be my first choices. And I have another one that I really love. This is, I call it Smash Jam.
Smash Jam. Yum.
And that's what it looks like.
Making me hungry.
It sounds like mush. It's smash. It's just berry mush is what it is. But here's the secret to it. Instead of using jellies all the time because they're filled with so much sugar, I decided, well, what if I put a little bit of mushed up berries on top of my morning pudding? My chia seed pudding. It was okay. I smushed it up and I would put it on. It wasn't bad, but it was missing something. And what I do is I take zest from citrus. So I have a little zester and I go zoop, zoop, zoop and zest a little bit in there, mush up the berries, then throw it on top of the pudding. Oh my gosh. To die for, delicious. I mean, it adds that little thing that you're missing. And what I think part of it is the scent, because you have the scent of that citrus that hits you when you're preparing the food. So all of these things are tied together, scent and taste. And when you do the scent and the taste and also the experience of eating, and instead of making it fast food, you make it from scratch, it tastes better. And so when you enhance your flavor, then that diabetes, boring, bland diet that they've given you now becomes something that's really enhanced and delicious. If it's tasty, then it's easy to stay in a new lifestyle and a new food plan because it's delicious.
Mm-hmm. And that's fantastic as well, too. Once again, Shawna Coronado on the Mike Wagner Show with the book Stacked with Flavor, and you also get her other books as well, too. And, just lastly, we'd love to have you back on definitely very soon. And what are your upcoming plans for 2020?
Okay, next plan is the next biggie is I have converted my website to have a lot of online workshops. So you can go to shawnacoronado.com and go to the Wellness University, which is a part of my website. And you can go online and take remote classes, which is really cool. And I do it in everything. It's going to expand besides food and gardening and, exercises, kind of the concentration. Then I'm growing indoor plants. I got a giant unit so that I can show people how to grow those microgreens. So I'm going to be teaching people how to grow the microgreens. I have 2 more books coming out. Actually 3 by the end of the year that are in the series Stacked with Flavor. So we have Stacked with Flavor meal planning, Stacked with Flavor snacks, and Stacked with Flavor holidays. And all of those will be coming out. So I'm exhausted. I'm telling you, Mike, it's and everyone else is like, I'm just sitting around for pandemic. And I am like full on going, I'm overwhelmed and working my little heart out because I dream of helping people. I really think it's important. So if all of your friends will go out to shawnacoronado.com and sign up for my newsletter, I would be absolutely thrilled because I'm sending information out in the newsletters to help you learn how to eat well and how to live better.
That is fantastic. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
Oh my goodness, what a choice.
Eeny, meeny, miny, catch a tiger, but I'm kidding.
Many people. I love, I can say, like, I love Oprah. And I love that she's taken something, she came from a place where she really could help anyone. And now she helps people with her lifestyle. And believe me, I'm not a millionaire or anything like that. But I like the idea of the fact that you don't have to sit around and have the world happen to you. Instead, you can go out and inspire the world to do better. And that's really my goal in life and with everything that I do. And a friend of mine is like, well, no, you don't. That's cheesy. I'm like, okay, it might be cheesy, but I choose to use that idea to springboard into everything I do with the hopes that I'm here doing something for the better. And that's my goal. Now, any other people that I'd have to say from my childhood, I have some really wonderful relatives, and I have a lady. In fact, one of the recipes in my new snack book is Auntie Lolo's dip. My Aunt Loretta told me when I was a little girl that I could do anything I believed I could do. That was her message. And then a few years ago, she died. And I got to speak with her on the telephone the day before she died. And the thing she said was, you need to take care of other people. You need to inspire them, and you need to do good in the world. And I believe in you. And then the next day she croaked. So what a message and what an inspiration.
It does sound like it too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Oh, please don't think that one day is failure. I'll tell you, I would fall off the wagon when I first started all this. I did the first 30 days, and then remember, I fell off and I had a popcorn addiction. And the popcorn addiction ended up hurting me, like physically hurting me. And I would have popcorn, and then I would say, well, maybe I'll have a cookie. And because I already shot my diet, I might as well have, I'm going to have margarita, and then I'm going to have something else. I would shoot my entire day because of that. No. If you fall off of your walking plan or your diet or whatever your goals are, so you had a bad day and you need to reboot immediately. Don't fall off entirely. Instead, you fell off for lunch. Okay. Then for dinner, you're going to be right on target. And that thinking has gotten me through. That thinking has kept me on this diet, is that if something wrong happens, it's okay. But I'm moving forward anyway. Mm-hmm. And so that's my best advice.
And that's a very good one, too. Author Shawna Coronado here on the Mike Wagner Show. It's stacked with flavor, and I'm getting cooking on this. Shawna, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Look forward to having you again soon. Once again, what's your upcoming projects? What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase your books?
All of these things at shawnacoronado.com. So you can go right out to my website and join up. And please, friend me up on Facebook. I'd love to see you out there.
We'll do that. Shawna, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor. Keep the stuff up to date. We definitely love to have you back. You've been very fantastic.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.